this evening is Renee Coltson. And Renee Coltson is Wend-en-Eden L.L.C. and is also the founder of humanitarian organization Partnership in Planetary Healing, which is dedicated to raising awareness and uplifting global consciousness. She leads compassionate-driven events for the benefit of humans, animals, and the planet. Renee has had a lifelong commitment to sharing with others there are other sentient beings here on Earth. Her purpose and mission has always been directed towards the spiritual development of sentient beings. She is a contactee, dynamic natural healer, and teaches development and teaches others how to find that in themselves and facilitates animal healing workshops. After some time out, she is reemerging back into the public arena with a significant addition to her mission through music of the plants. And I knew I was going to mess that one up. This is fascinating. We're going to have such a good time with this tonight. Can't wait to talk about it. It's called www.musicoftheplants.com and www.reneecoltson.com. So please welcome Renee to the show this evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Solaris. I am so glad to be back here.
I'm very, very happy to have you back tonight. You know, I'm so excited to talk about what's going on with your orbit or in your orbit and all the good things that are happening. So give us a rundown.
Well, I think you're aware that I took some time out over the last year and a half, sort of regrouping, introspecting, healing, changing back into, morphing back to me, really, honestly. Because, you know, having a 16-year career with corporate structure absolutely can take you to a place of not really being fully who you are. And so I am back, and I am so happy to be back. I stayed in my cave, deep in a cave, really going through this shift. And it's really exciting to come out with this new venture I'm on and going back out and working with the animals and enlightening people about animals more so. And
awesome. And you sound fantastic. You sound great. You sound supercharged and just completely ready to roll. That's wonderful.
I am. I'm rolling.
I'm very happy for you. Yeah,
definitely rolling.
Well, congratulations. And I know that we touched base before, you know, we went live, and I'm so interested in the music of the plants, and I want to know how you got involved in that. And let's describe for the listeners, what is the music of the plants?
Well, Music of the Plants is, first of all, I'll say this is a company out of Italy, and they had been researching this technology for over 40 years because they developed this community of very conscious beings. They live in tree houses and trees, and they grow their own food. And basically everything was sort of symbiotic in that space with nature, except more interactive with the plants on a conscious level. I guess that's a good way to synopsize it. But I'll talk about the device a little more. I'm going to just, you know, give everybody a heads up. I'm excited about this. I am not a technical genius. I haven't actually worked with the technology one-on-one yet. It's on its way to me, but I have researched, I've studied, I've read up on people, I've read papers, I have listened to YouTube, I've watched TED Talk. I mean, I am so excited about presenting Music of the Plants to the world because, as you know, I have always felt that all life on this planet is absolutely sentient. All that means is life is aware of itself, is aware of its environment, and it interacts with it. And although plants are not moving around, walking and talking like we do, it does not make them any less aware than we are. As a matter of fact, I think they're more aware than we are.
I agree.
So,
that's very interesting.
I came up, I think it was March of 2017. I was getting ready to go to do animal programs in Australia and New Zealand. And I came across this article in a magazine called Nexus Magazine out of Australia, written by this man named, last name is Vitali, on Music of the Plants. And I read it, and it was right up my lane, absolutely, about nature and sentient beings and how we interact. And it's scientifically proven that if you spend more time with nature, not only does it help you relieve stress, it really makes you more healthy and far better in whatever state you are. It's going to improve that state. I think last time I was on here, Solaris, I shared a piece that's still downloadable on reneecoltson.com, which is Raising Your Awareness Through Nature. I'm pretty sure I shared that. It's still there. And
Excellent.
I do recommend that people download that, read it, follow the instructions, go into a quiet place or not, because there's not always that quiet place to go to, but you can find that quiet place within yourself if you're out in trees or with a tree or a plant. And
Excellent.
just connect into that experience through the field. So when I was reading this magazine article, Music of the Plants, it really touched me deeply. It really touched my heart. But I looked at it. I was going to track this guy down in New Zealand. I just did not have the time to do it. But I never forgot it. I talked about him. I talked about this article to each of my classes in New Zealand and Australia, and they remembered too. And a couple of months ago, I got a post from a friend of mine in Australia, and she said, "You wouldn't believe what happened. This woman arrived. She sat in an empty chair next to me. She's got this device, that helps you interact with plants." And I said, "Oh, wait, I have to know more." Turns out it is that company. They've now come out with a more portable model, because honestly, when I saw the Vitali article and I looked at the technology, I went, wow, I'll never get through that. I just won't. Synthesizers, too much for Renee. So there it was. I think 3 months ago at the most. And Nicole actually sent me a recording. This lady's name, by the way, her name is Regina, I think, Orchard. Her last name is Orchard. If anybody's listening from Australia, she's in Australia and she's a distributor, and she's very knowledgeable about Music of the Plants. She does events and so on. So anyway, I talked to her at length, and Nicole said she came over to her house and she plugged into one of her house plants, and she sent me both of these recordings. The first one was beautiful. It's the plant singing its song. Really didn't take a lot of training. The plant just started singing when it was hooked up, which I'll talk about later. Then Nicole decided that she would put a crystal on top of the soil. Instantaneously, the melody of that plant changed. So they actually are able not only to interact with each other, they're able to interact with us. They can not only listen to music, they can compose music. So that vibration, it is. So that led to another thing. So after I talked to Regina, then I contacted the company in Italy, told them I was just so excited about this. And it took them a while to get back to me. And they finally did. Now, what pushed me absolutely over the edge, you know how synchronicity works, right?
Oh, yeah.
All of these things were lining up. So next to my healing center is a house that I used to live in. Somebody else lives there now. And she was telling me one afternoon that she just hates cactus. And there's this glorious king of the desert, saguaro, that stands in front of that house. It must be 35, 40 feet high. Lots of arms. It's beautiful. She goes, I just hate them. I'm going to have that pulled out. I'm going to put a pine tree there. Okay, this is the desert. You're really infringing on the ecosystem and the aquifer if you do that. That's a foolish thing to do. Not only that, so that was one thing she was doing. The next thing, I come back here and I see that she's completely scraped the entire north side of the desert land of that property.
Oh, wow.
Everything's gone. Everything. Every cactus, every shrub, every tree. Why? So that they could see the snakes coming. I got news for them. That doesn't work because it's growing high in weeds now. But this is what pushed me on that note was, wow, she really doesn't get it. And I also stood there knowing that whatever I said in that moment was not going to get through to her. You know, a conversation wasn't really what that was going to take. So I wept for the earth. I'm holding my breath on that saguaro praying that she leaves it alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew. I said, you know what? This is my next piece for going out into the world and talking with people about other life as conscious beings, how important it is that we treat all life with compassion, treat all life as a sentient beings. I'm not going to, I don't want to upset the vegans or anything, but I'm not saying we're not supposed to eat them. I'm just saying, let's be kind. Let's think about what we're doing to the ecosystem. So I finally heard back from Music of the Plants saying, oh, yes, they would love to have me as the Arizona distributor, and it's rolling. So what I've been doing is really getting ready to launch that program. Probably I won't be doing any events until after the first of the year, but if anybody has interest in school programs or an event, just let me know. I do want to say also, there will be another website. It is not up, but it is called EdenMelodies.com. And I want to share basically what I guess the plants gave to me, because, I'm not the driver here, just so you know. Everything that has happened with putting this Music of the Plants thing together has just come about. I'm just being led down the yellow brick road. Mm-hmm. Every piece that comes in, I don't question. I know it's a piece. And I don't know how that piece is going to develop or what it's going to look like in the end, but wow, is it ever falling into place? So I was just quietly sitting one afternoon last week, and here's the words that came. So this shares the philosophy of where we are with the consciousness about sentient beings, also including plant life. As a human being, you are part of the family of all that lives within and upon earth. Being a part of anything means you are connected to all of it. Plants are also part of this family. They're sentient beings. What that means is each plant is aware of itself and of the surrounding environment, including each other. Like us humans, but in a different way, they interact. Music of the Plants gives us humans the gift of realizing we do have a way to more fully interact with them, hear their voice, and experience they have emotions too. So what really caught my attention when I wrote this out is I immediately started changing the word family. Mm-hmm. I went, family? I don't know, and I edited it, I changed a few things, and the inside of me was like somebody's rattling my cage, Mm-hmm. So I went, okay, it's family. I'm going to think about this. And I went back to an experience that I had in the desert, May 10th, I think it was, of 1993. When the desert became completely, I know it's alive, but it became completely alive. It started being very fluid. And one of the trees in the desert, I could see, I guess I better start with how this came about, because that's weird. It was that morning, about 7 a.m., it had rained. So I went outside and I was just staring into a water droplet on a leaf of a tree. And it put me into an altered state of consciousness. And everything went, I don't know if it's holographic, I don't know if I was in another level of existence, but everything started changing before me and becoming more, I'd say active. One of the things that happened, of course, this went on all day long. I called a friend of mine who got off at work at 5 o'clock. Remember, this is from 7 a.m. I'm out in the desert watching all this stuff happening, going, God, that is so weird. Where'd that rowboat come from? And anyway, Ginger showed up and she goes, well, how long have you been in the wind? Because she didn't see anything that I was seeing for about 5 minutes. And all of a sudden she entrained into the experience. And the first thing she says, well, what is that rowboat doing out there? I went, hey,
Wow.
Hey, it's the desert. That rowboat wasn't there the night before. Okay. and everything. I'm not going to go through the whole story. I mean, it was one of those most remarkable experiences of my life. One of the things that happened was everything I moved everything else. So if I picked up a rock and I tossed it, everything moved. Mm-hmm. So it was a demonstration from Mother Earth as I saw it, as a lesson in how everything really is connected. Everything you do changes everything else.
Mm-hmm. I mean, can I ask you, what year was that again?
1993.
Okay. And it reminds me of an interactive hologram.
Well, see, I still don't really know what happened. That's what people do say. And maybe so. I mean, I think I came on another program of yours because there was a guy about Bigfoot on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Right. And that's another thing that happened. You know, Ginger and I both saw this huge foot. Only one. And it was, you know, the guy asked me, how many toes did it have? I said 5. He goes, right on. Anyway, as you can tell, there's like a whole lot to this. But
yeah, it's an interesting story.
But the part that rings for music of the plants is I kept seeing these trees breathing. It's like they were going breathing in really deep. And there was a tree that had the face of what I call the goddess in the tree. She wasn't just a face in the tree. She was the tree. And she was clearly inhaling and exhaling. And as she inhaled, I could see the tree filling with this green light. And as she exhaled, it released from the tree into the atmosphere. It was green. And I watched that and I went, what is that? It took me, I have no idea how many years to actually come to the conclusion like, oh, she's doing her job. They breathe in, you know, we breathe in and we breathe in oxygen and we exhale carbon dioxide, right? This is a simplified scientific thing. The trees breathe in carbon dioxide and they exhale oxygen. So it's an interdependent relationship. Well, as I'm watching this, and I'm really watching everything just shine brighter and be more alive in the desert, I'm really scratching my head, you know, going, this is wild. Well, the next night, I was back out, feed the horses, and I connected with this tree out in the horse arena turnout, and then I saw the face showing up. And I thought, oh my God, I don't know if I'm ready for this again right now. But there she goes. And I just felt, I connected with that tree and I said, you know, I could use some of that. So instead of the green filling the tree and being released up through the tree, the top of the tree, it released through the front of the tree and came towards me and went right. I don't know if it went through me because I couldn't see in the back of me, but I looked at her and I said, oh my God, you really are my mother. You really are the Mother Earth. The mother of us all, really, because we are made up of the same elements. And so I think the DNA of a banana is 90% now, is 90% the same as ours. Everything in the DNA, and I'm not a scientist, so I really don't have any place talking this level of science except for what I understand, and to the degree that I do, which is barely. And that DNA is DNA, but how it builds itself or how it expresses itself through the physical embodiment of whatever it is, how it's arranged is what makes it what it is. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So when, in 1993, I wrote a piece called A Mother's Cry for Help. And, you know, it was her speaking again. And it said, it says something in there about us all being made up of the same elements. We're all really, our bodies are of this earth, right? our bodies are this earth. We are made up of all the elements of this planet. Our spirit, our energy, well, that's another story. But all life on this planet contains all the stuff that our bodies are made up of. So I guess that's what makes us kin, to the animals and to the plants. And I think I stepped outside after going, family, how do I, family, is this going to be a real reach for people? Because it's kind of a reach for me in the beginning. Last week it was, right? Or 2 weeks ago, it was a reach for me. It's not anymore, because now, didn't the Native Americans recognize all animals as brothers and sisters? Mm-hmm. I think they did. And they probably did plant life too. So that introduction that came to me for the homepage of EdenMelodies.com was a pretty powerful few paragraphs of what this is about and why I want to be engaged with this mission of music of the plants. I think it's a consciousness shift. I think it will change people to be able to understand, not only understand it, but be part of it.
Right.
So how it works is this device. Remember I said there was this device, the U1, that was the original one I saw. And by the way, I ordered it anyway because I'm going to do big events like at botanical gardens and concerts, with musicians and plugging it into a larger sound system and using big trees. So I went, well, the more portable device, I actually need something like bigger than that. So I did get one, and I'll figure it out because my friend is Paul, and he knows what he's doing.
Oh,
right?
Paul's great. We love Paul.
Yeah, he'll help me.
Mutual friend.
And I've got other friends who are technically like my friends, Paula and Kim, are also brilliant with technology. So I'm not alone. I'm not feeling alone. But anyway, so you take this device. It has an electrode that goes into the soil by the root. And then there's a little alligator clamp that clamps onto the leaf. And you select in the device what instruments and what hertz level you want, by the way. And that's a whole nother topic, right? 440 versus 432 and 40. Remember? There's a whole lot of stuff out there on the 440 hertz level that, maybe that's not the hertz level we want to listen to, right?
Right.
But maybe it is. So depending on a person's philosophy on the Bamboo M, they can pick the hertz level that they want the music to be played through. And also there's 125 instruments to choose from.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I've listened to hours and hours and hours of music of the plants, but I haven't had it in my hands yet. But anyway, the music, the electrical signals from the plant's connection from the root to the leaf is translated through the device into music.
Nice.
And you can hear it. I sent you some today. And
yes, you did.
And I posted some on Facebook. I was starting to get carried away, so I stopped. But anyway, there's a friend of mine. Turns out, synchronistically, one of my former colleagues from, that 16-year career thing I had in healing, it was, the healing arts, Heather Proudfoot was on the team with me. And she lives in South Africa. She lives in Cape Town. She's already been a part of this music of the plants mission for a number of years. I found that out because it turned out I was already on her Facebook page and I had no idea that I was in a group, right? But there I was. My friend in Australia goes, well, you're in Heather's Facebook group. I went, oh, I am? Okay.
Nice.
So here's a woman with tons and tons and tons of experience with this. So I called her last week and we spent a long time on the phone talking. And I said, share with me your experiences. So just to demonstrate how plants not only interact with each other, but they truly interact with us. And when you establish a bond with a plant, they have an emotional connection with you, and they will actually empathize with you. They will have joy with you, or they won't sing for you at all. And here's what happened. Here's a few things that Heather shared with me. She went to a school with the bigger device, the U1, and the assembly, they were in the assembly room, big room, lots of students. She had her plants already in the room, hooked up, and the kids were singing the anthem. Well, the plants started harmonizing with the anthem.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's great.
It wasn't random at all. At all. It was the anthem. Another experience, she said, she was doing a presentation, and a lady was up in the front of the room interacting with the plant one-on-one. The plant was happy and singing beautifully, and there was a lady sitting in the front row who can see energy, and she could see the colors coming off the plant, enveloping this woman right there.
Oh, wow.
You know, the colors, and also spirals coming off the plant. I believe this next episode was in the same event where another woman was came up to interact with the plant. The plant just shut up, like didn't have a thing to say, not a thing to sing, not a note to play.
Oh, that's amazing.
It is. And so that a lady who could, see energy came up and quietly told Heather that lady had gray and red energy. And she's very negative and very angry. So that plant just did not want to sing for her. Now, if the lady had been depressed, and maybe she was angry about this whole thing with the plants, who knows? But the plant would know, right? The plant would know. If that was an expressed emotion towards the plant is sentient, aware enough to know that emotion was directed at the plant. Now, Heather didn't say that. That was me overthinking like I always do. But Heather said, yeah, the plant just didn't want to sing for her. And she said, you know what? Sometimes they don't want to sing. Sometimes they have to be coaxed.
That's interesting.
And the coaxing can come from you interacting with it, or from a tuning fork, or in fact, Regina Orchard, the lady from Australia who's a distributor over there, said that she went to her grandson's class, an elementary class. Where's where I want to go, by the way? Give me the children, right? I want to be in front of the children with this. And they sang a happy song, and the plant was, singing a melody that was along with what they were singing, matching the emotional happiness of that song. Then they started to sing a really sad song, and the plant tuned down its melody to a very slow and sad melody. So they are very aware, that, hey, this isn't new, right? I mean, it is music of the plants. That's a new thing. That we have now the ability to actually interact and have the dynamic of getting a return in our communication with them.
Right.
I mean, I know a lot of people who talk to their plants. I know a lot of people who can't keep one alive too. And and then there are the people who have my mother was one of those people. My God, she would touch the dirt and things would grow. It was amazing. In fact, I remember her telling us, and we all thought she was crazy, that we did have this big plant in the living room, and she swore she heard that plant say, "Hello, puppy," which is the name of our dog, right? Well, we thought I'm thinking twice about that. I went, maybe my mom was a bit of a medium. Like, she was in complete denial of it, of course, but I'm the legacy of that, because I definitely am that. So, but she grew up in that environment at seances and trumpets flying through the room, and but she was in denial. In all of the years I knew her, she always thought, she goes, "God, you're strange." I went, "Jesus, really? Oh, excuse me, I come from you." But anyway, Now I think that she really did hear the plant express itself. It's just that she heard it not really in a vocalized way, but maybe in a telepathic way. And what does that say about the possibilities of animals and plants? Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
That they're in communication. That plant said, "Hello, puppy." You know,
it's all interactive. It's all interconnected. Right. That's so fascinating, and it goes right down to the harmonics of the cosmos. You know, the stars, everything is one big web of life, as they say.
It's all connected.
Yeah,
and we really do have to get that.
I agree with you. Yeah, because it's fracturing right now. It's totally fracturing. Yeah,
there's only one way to fix it. It's consciousness.
Absolutely.
And that shift can happen instantaneously. You know, and although it looks like a dreary world out there often, you know, depending on how you look at it, I'm just saying, well, yes, clearly that's happening, but we're changing too. There are more and more people who are the light bringers and the conscious people, and we'll be up. It'll uplift. I have to believe that, because if I didn't, I don't want to be here. If I didn't have hope, if I didn't believe, putting in effort in this direction like I have been for so long with animals, and there's a lot of people who have contributed so much stuff to changing and shifting the awareness of animals and not being cruel. Yes, there's still people out there that do, but more and more and more animals are being treated more humanely. People are waking up to that. It's not just the people with household pets, but it's people in general. They're starting to get, watch the news. These wonderful, heartwarming, and some of them not, right. Yes, it runs the gamut on what's out there. But I do believe that there's been a huge shift, especially since Katrina, when there were no shelters that would take animals in. Animals were turned away from the buses. Things have changed. People have really been, I have that slogan, pets are partners, not property. And I do believe that in the last, how many years is that? Like 14, 12. When was Katrina? 2004, 6? Anyway, 6, I think. Anyway, things have really taken a turn for the better with animals. We still have work to do, but now it seems I'm, going to continue that, of course. My purpose has always been animals in my life, throughout my life. But now shifting gears to go out into the botanicals is really exciting, to start, educating people on conscious landscaping, for instance.
Oh, I like that.
You rip out a saguaro in the desert to put in a fir tree. You are the predators, meaning the insects, the communication with the rest of the ecosystem, the communication, the cooperation. It's, I think, impeded when you bring in such an off-the-wall, that poor pine tree, if she brings it in, it's going to be pretty lonely. Not only that, sucking up water from the aquifer. A saguaro, do you know what a saguaro looks like? Have you never been to the... Well, they're huge, huge, huge. They are so magnificent. The root system of the saguaro is very shallow into the earth. Actually, the root system of any cactus does not go deep into the earth. Like you bring a pine tree in, or a maple, or even a cottonwood, your root system is tapping way down into the earth. It's not conscious. It's not a conscious way to manage the ecosystem in your localized area. So I actually do want to go into nurseries. I want to go to Home Depot. I want to have Christmas concerts with poinsettias. Have people come and go, well, here, let's tune up that poinsettia and see which one you like,
That's pretty interesting. I'll tell you what. And I did hear that video. It was beautiful. The music that was being played with the plant.
Simon Vitale's video, right?
Yeah, it's fascinating.
There's another one with him where he actually is playing his guitar, and the plant is, again, creating a melody that is in sync with what he's playing on the guitar. It's not the other way around,
That's intelligent design. That is
correct.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
It is.
It changes everything. It really does.
Well, that's what I'm hoping, is that through this, these interactive experiences, that most people will have a really powerful and positive effect, bringing about a shift on how they interact with the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Because how can you look at anything the same? Even your house plant. I mean, I know this isn't new for a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people out there that love their plants. They're gardeners. They have a real bond with them. But now you can listen to your lettuce.
Right. That changes the whole dynamic with eating.
It does. Years ago, Paul said something to me about vegetarian, vegan. He goes, so what? You want people to go out and abuse a carrot?
Yeah, really, or cut your grass, and it's the same thing.
Thank you for saying that. Do you know the smell that we all love so much of cut grass?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that's the grass defending itself?
Oh,
releasing chemical. Yes, it's releasing. That smell is releasing a chemical into the atmosphere. In fact, I saw something on the Nature Channel. I hope I can remember all the details. It was a tobacco plant. And a tobacco plant, generally, this kind of tobacco plant, will generally bloom at night. And so its pollinators and its predators are nocturnal, right? Mm-hmm. And, well, no, the predators not necessarily, but the pollinators of these particular tobacco plants were moths. So at the same time, the moths are pollinating the tobacco plant. On the other hand, the moth lays its eggs, which turn into larvae, which turn into the predators, which chew the leaves of the tobacco plant, right? Mm-hmm. So the tobacco plant has the intelligence actually to change itself into a daytime bloomer, which causes a different pollinator, like a bee or a hummingbird or whatnot, to come in and pollinate the plant. And then if it is attacked by, say, a caterpillar, right, it emits a scent, a poisonous gas called caffeine. I mean, wait, not caffeine. What is poisonous out of smoking?
What's the question again?
Yeah, oh my God. Why don't we smoke? Because it's got nicotine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the plant releases a gas, the poisonous gas called nicotine, mm-hmm. which kills the caterpillar and at the very minimum keeps them away from it. And not only that, it warns the other tobacco plants in the area that there are predators. But this shape-shifting, I'll call it, of the tobacco plant takes place in 8 days. In 8 days, that plant changes from a night bloomer to a day bloomer, and the whole pollinator thing changes, and so do the predators.
Wow, that's fascinating.
That is intelligence. That is actually intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
So I had I've had some strange things with plants, but I only really, again, things happen, you figure it out later because of how things fall into place, right? Mm-hmm. So the Kentucky Derby was coming up. This was just before I was leaving for Australia and New Zealand in 2017. It's May, every year it happens, right? And I thought, I think I want some mint jubilees. That's what they're called, right? Mm-hmm. And so I went and I got an organic mint plant for my mint jubilees, took it into my house, never got to the mint jubilees, but I set the plant on the table, and later that afternoon, I smelled the most kind of vile heavy. Almost, I couldn't really, I couldn't really say what it was. I wasn't sure. But it smelled like mentholatum or something like people would use on a horse's legs to rub them down with to get, sore muscles. And I went, wow, what in the world did Russ spill in the other side of the door where he lives for me? And so I called him and I knocked on the door. He didn't answer. So I went outside to find him. I said, hey, what did you spill? What did you spill? My God, does this smell? He said, I didn't spill anything. I don't know what you're talking about. So I went back in the house and there was no smell. And I sat and I looked at the plant and I said, was that you? And I thought, I think that was you. I think you were just expressing yourself. Well, at first I took it as a compliment, right? And now that I know more, I went, wow. Yeah, she probably, I call her she, I don't know. I call her she. I call them all she's. I thought, the air quality actually in there's not a lot of windows to open at my environment over at the ranch. And I thought, I think she just, I had figured out recently, I went, I think she was offended by the air quality in that place. And because that smell is probably antibacterial. Well, there's 40 horses there. It's always dusty. You can't get away from it. You just can't get away. You can dust and vacuum all you want. You're going to walk back in and it's, there they are again. But anyway, that was her. Oh, and she told me her name was Mary Mint.
Is that right?
She did. I don't think of myself as an animal communicator or plant communicator, but when
you are now.
But this is like, a year and a half ago. And, but I think when my mind is still enough, I actually do get, clearly I get messages. because I do write them down, but I thought merriment, that's interesting. And I thought, I wonder if that's Mary, is it M-A-R-Y or M-E-R-R-Y? So I got out, I looked it up. And of course, mint would be called merriment because merry is to have fun, to bring joy, to party, and that actually is why I got the plant.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Wow, you could write a story on that.
I could. Yeah. I definitely could.
Very, very interesting. Bill had a question in the chat over here. He was asking early on about how fast or slow you think the plants seem to go by compared to us. I guess it's animals versus plants. I don't know if he's talking about the communication itself. Do you think that they communicate at a faster rate, faster speed and frequency? Any ideas?
Oh, I think that the plant kingdom communicates at the speed of light under the ground. Through the roots, through the fungi. I mean, there's this. Is that what he's talking about, or is he talking about with us through the device? I wonder.
Well, I think he was thinking of the device, but he can clarify if he needs to. Phil, if you need to clarify that. But yeah, I think it was through the device. But what's your impression of that then?
Well, here's my impression. It will vary from plant to plant because some plants, they don't know the sounds coming through them or can come through them because this is new. So it may start slow with some plants.
Oh, right.
It also will depend on the person who's interacting. If the plant isn't happy, the plant is not going to sing. Are you going to sing if you're completely unhappy?
Unless they just want to protest, and then you've got a nightmare on your hands.
Right. But again, sometimes they have to be coaxed.
Right.
Heather did tell me that some plants can take up to, not plants, trees. Now we're talking mega trees. Now she's over in South Africa, right? She said, we don't have those big trees here. You do. You certainly do where you are. But she said, sometimes it takes like it can take up to 40 minutes to get the communication going between the root and the leaf. Because, I ordered everything because I wasn't sure what I was going to need. So I'm like, bring it all on because I'm not sure, right? But they have like these really long cables to go into the ground and go up into these tall trees. And that signal may not happen right away. But she said once the tree, and they call it training. Mm-hmm. She said, if I were going to go to the Botanical Gardens in Phoenix, this is a huge venue, right? That I think would love to have this. She said, you can't just show up, plug in, and think they're going to sing, because she said sometimes it can take longer. But once the plant or the tree, they call it training, but it's more about they become aware that is coming from them, and then they start really participating. They start composing. If you go onto YouTube, or also musicoftheplants.com, they have a lot of recordings on there. Regina has them on her site. This lady in Pennsylvania, I love her site. I haven't talked to her personally, but God, she's got some great stuff. She takes people out into the forest and teaches them to interact with elementals and the plants with the device. And then in Boulder, Colorado, there's another, it's called Damanhur of Colorado.
Wow, that's really close. That's over here. That's excellent.
Yeah, you probably should go meet Mary.
Yeah, so check it out. Yeah,
there's
definitely.
a lady named Mary who manages the Music of the Plants there, and I've talked to her on more than one occasion, because I believe in supporting everybody. It's like I really want to connect. The reason I do better in with a larger mission is because there's more. There's more to cooperate with. There's more awareness out there. Mm-hmm. If I were going to go back out and just continue doing what I was doing, which I love doing what I did. I love doing the animal workshops and teaching people how to interact with animals. And I will continue to, of course, I'm going to continue to do that. But I was going to be me, me. And I thought, I need to be part of something bigger, Right. And this is that. So,
it's a big network you're building.
There's, this is because this technology, the more portable technology is rather new. Now from what I can see, there's only, 18 countries and 22 distributors worldwide. But I think this is going to catch on with this, going into schools. This is going to be a major shifter of consciousness for people. But anyway, so back to Bill's question. I think that's pretty clear. Okay. That's going to be up to the plant and also who's interacting. Look at those videos on YouTube, because I will say this also. I was listening to, I'm actually writing a book that came through a hibiscus bush outside of a restaurant. Yeah, I know I said I don't talk to plants. Well, they talk to me. So anyway, the whole thing is inspired through this. It's a children's book. And it's really about, changing the landscape of life with acts of kindness and teaching children. But it all came from this hibiscus bush. And so I wanted to hear a hibiscus sing. So I went on YouTube and I found a hibiscus and I went, really? I'm not very excited by that song. And then I learned more. And I found out, well, that was just that plant at the moment. Mm-hmm. It's not going to always be the same song. True. And the other thing that I really wanted to find out about, and I finally did get my answer, I think, just by reading somebody who knows what they're doing, their website, who does this. I wanted to know, if somebody has an autoimmune disease, because echinacea is on YouTube, and I love the song of that echinacea plant. Mm-hmm. Would listening to the translation of those electromagnetic signals coming off the plant, would that be delivering the energy medicine of the plant? Because, echinacea is immune support, right? Well, so my understanding is the plant is still going to have the medicine of the plant. It's still there, but the hertz level and the communication coming through what's called a MIDI cable. Mm-hmm. I forget what that means. It's a translation thing. Musical interactive device interface. I think maybe that's what it's a cable, and it doesn't It does not make the medicine music of the plant. So I got my answer. I looked at Jen's website in Pennsylvania, and it just happened to say, and no, this does not play that. But it still has the value. We know from Heather's story that the plant that had the spirals coming off it and the colors coming off of it and interacting with the lady, she was receiving a healing.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, speaking of healing, because there it is. It's what I do best, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a word that I will define. Nanomechanical oscillations, which are vibrations from inside the cell, cause sound waves to pass between the plants, or to you, or to me. And music can change the organization of molecules. So now I haven't found any of this out there in anybody's website, but this will be where I'm going to go, right? I'm going to go here. So if sound waves, and they do, and because music produces sound waves, can change the organization of molecules, and it's scientifically proven that if you spend more time out in nature, you're going to be healthier. You're going to be less stressed. That's going to make you that's going to make you healthier, better on all levels.
Right.
That is going to help your body come into balance and allow it to heal itself. So absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And Renee, this is so fantastic. I have to tell you, we are heading for a break already. You're listening to Ravenstar's Witching Hour. I'm your host, Solaris BlueRaven. My incredible guest tonight is Renee Coltson. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.